What's up, y'all? I just want to touch on about two to three bullet points with some of these conspiracy theories that are going around right now. A lot of videos being put out, and some people say he's alive. Some people say Reggie Wright had him killed. Some people say, Puffy. It depends what you believe, but in this day and age, you don't know what to believe. And I feel like, especially with the new generation that's coming up, everybody's being steered in the wrong direction, and people are just making videos, putting out bullshit without backing it up, just giving their opinion, acting as if it's fact. And I just want to be able to put my 2 cents in and try to give as much truth as I can, and help somebody out if they have any questions. I've been a Pac fan for a little over 20 years now, and I'm not an expert or anything, but I feel like I know more than the average fan. So that being said, I'm going to upload frequently and try to keep these videos short. But anyways, today what I'm going to touch on real quick is the Lil Half Dead theory, just something to do with Lil Half Dead. I'm also going to touch on, in addition to Lil Half Dead, I'm going to touch on the whole involvement of DPG being in Vegas and whatnot. And if it's not running too long, I'll touch on, when Reggie Wright told Frank Alexander and the rest of Right Way to not have their firearm with them. So that being said, I'm going to jump right in, and I'm going to go straight into the Lil Half Dead theory. All right, so RJ Bond and a lot of the people in Tupac assassination, they try to say that one of the reasons that Lil Half Dead would have wanted to have Tupac killed is, number one, he's Snoop's cousin. So, Tupac and the Outlaws had, supposedly been disrespecting Snoop, and he didn't take that. He didn't stand for that. So he was gonna get revenge on him. Okay, so one of the other main reasons they say that he did it is that Lil Half Dead was under the impression or felt that Tupac stole the song "Brenda's Got a Baby" from him. Okay, so something with that didn't make sense to me, and it just kind of shows you that these people making these documentaries, making these videos, they don't get their timelines straight. And I feel like if you can't get the basics straight, the most simple things that most Pac fans know, how are we supposed to trust you on anything else? So, with that being said, they say that RJ Bond went and did an interview, a few months ago or a few weeks ago, whatever it was, and said, well, everybody's saying that Lil Half Dead could not have stolen Brenda's Got a Baby from Tupac, that there were witnesses there when he wrote it. But he said, but Lil Half Dead could have been under the impression that Tupac stole it, and that's all that has to be true. He said, Tupac didn't actually have to steal it. As long as Lil Half Dead thought he might have, that's enough incentive for him to want him dead. Well, let me tell you the reason that doesn't make sense right now. Okay, number one, Brenda's Got a Baby came out in 1991. Okay, 1991. All right, maybe early 1992. I think it was, I'm 99% sure it was in 1991. But anyways, that being said, Tupac didn't even meet Snoop Dogg until the 1993 rap party for Poetic Justice. Okay, and for those of you who don't know, Lil Half Dead is cousins with Snoop Dogg. All right, so how would Lil Half Dead be under the impression that Tupac stole Brenda's Got a Baby from him if Pac didn't even meet Snoop until 2 years after the song came out? Okay, because Lil Half Dead, he's a rapper or whatever, but he's not on the level of a Snoop or a Tupac. I mean, nobody even knows who the hell he is, except for, unless you're a hardcore DPG fan or because of the Tupac assassination theory. So, my reasoning behind that is, why the hell would Tupac have ever crossed paths with Lil Half Dead before he even had met Snoop Dogg? They're two of the biggest rappers in the world, yet Tupac's gonna run into Lil Half Dead years prior to Snoop Dogg? I don't think so. So that just didn't match up for me. That didn't line up. I didn't see how that would make sense. It just doesn't match up to me. The timeline doesn't match up. The math doesn't add up. Tupac hadn't met Snoop until 2 years later. He's damn sure not going to be running around with Lil Half Dead, in the studio with Lil Half Dead, able to steal a song from Lil Half Dead when he hasn't even met Snoop Dogg, which he wouldn't meet him for 2 years after that song came out. Okay, so that's number one. All right, number two, I'm trying to think, should I touch on the Frank Alexander, Reggie Wright thing? No, let's do DPG first. Okay, so next thing, DPG. One of the big things in Tupac Assassination 3 is that, Daz, Snoop, and the Dog Pound were also involved in wanting Tupac dead and to take out Suge, just because Suge and the Blood side, which was Pac, Danny Boy, you know, Kurt Cobain, all those people, they had been disrespecting Snoop, that once Pac came around, you know, DPG got no love and all this shit. So anyways, you know, which isn't true. I mean, we've seen the video of Tupac and the Outlaws in the studio on Tupac's birthday, and Corrupt's been there hanging out. Pac did a couple songs with Badass. Daz made beats for Pac. So yeah, I mean, did they probably have a falling out? They have riffs here and there, of course. But I mean, every co-workers fucking fight all the damn time. But anyways, that being said, what doesn't make sense to me is in Tupac Assassination, well, number one, they can't even spell the people's names right. They spell corrupt, Korrupt, instead of Kurupt. And they spell Daz Dillinger with 2 Z's. And another thing, if you can't get the basics right, how the fuck are we supposed to believe anything else you say? Okay, but anyways, you know, in addition to that, they say that nobody from DPG was in Vegas the night of the shooting. That Snoop walked up to Pac and said, "Yo, cuz, you gonna be in Vegas?" And that was him planning out the murder to make sure Tupac was going to be where he said he was, which is bullshit. He just had a falling out with one of his good friends, and they got off the plane. There was tension. He's probably just trying to break the ice. He's probably just like, "Hey, man, you going to Vegas?" Like, just trying to break the ice, create conversation, just to smooth shit over. I doubt it had some sinister undertones that he was trying to set up a fucking murder, okay? But anyways, that being said, the next point is, you know, they said that nobody from DPG was in Vegas because everyone in DPG was behind this shooting. They knew what was about to go down, and they were trying to stay away from Vegas so that they wouldn't be associated with it. So nobody would point the finger, look at them. They could say, "What? We weren't in Vegas. How the fuck would we have had anything to do with this?" Okay, so the reason that doesn't make sense, or another reason I say the little things don't add up and makes you not trust anything else they say, is says word for word in their documentary, nobody from DPG was in Vegas. No one, okay? Let me tell you something. Anybody heard of a rapper named Badass? Yep, he's in DPG. He's part of DPG LBC crew. Okay, Badass confirms in a Vlad TV interview, you can look it up. Badass confirms in a Vlad TV interview that fellow DPG member Nate Dogg was in Vegas on September 7th, 1996. Nate Dogg was in a car, just a few cars behind Tupac and Suge, and he saw the shooting go down. He even told them the story. He saw the arm come out of the window and fire the shots. Okay? Badass even goes on in the interview with Vlad to say that Nate Dogg, Badass went on to say that himself, Badass, and Daz were in the studio making music, and they got a phone call from Nate Dogg, and Nate Dogg called and said, "Man, Tupac and Suge just got killed," or something along the lines. "Tupac and Suge just got murdered," something along those lines. But anyways, he called them kind of freaking out, like, "Damn, you'll never guess what just happened. I just saw them get shot. They're dead." Because at first they thought they were dead with all those gunshots. But anyways, so no DPG LBC members in Vegas was what was said in Tupac Assassination. Come to find out, Nate Dogg, a pretty prominent member of DPG, was in Vegas, just a couple cars behind Tupac and Suge, saw the whole damn thing go down, and he's the one that called Daz and Badass in the studio and told them what the fuck happened. Okay? Now, alright, so, you know, that being said, the next thing I'm going to touch on, I'm not gonna go into too much detail. I'm going to make that what my next video is about. But everybody talking about how, you know, Reggie Wright had this meeting at an attorney's office in Vegas, you know, when they were in Vegas, you know, before Pac and Suge got there, and when they were told they weren't allowed to keep their firearm on them in Vegas. Okay, well, just a little teaser. As everyone knows, it came out of Frank Alexander's mouth himself, which I just want to make this clear. I'm a fan of Frank Alexander. I liked his books, his documentaries. He seems like a nice guy. You can tell he genuinely cared for Tupac and, you know, was a good guy. But anyways, that being said, Frank Alexander said himself in a recorded phone call with Reggie Wright that they never told Frank or anyone in Rightway they couldn't have a gun in Vegas. They told them, if you're going to have a gun, it needs to stay in the car. Okay? I don't see why that would be a problem, because other than being in 662 or at the MGM or back at your own hotel, you're going to be in a car. Okay? So I don't see why that would have been an issue, because Tupac was shot in a car. Frank Alexander was right behind him in a car. Why didn't he have his gun with him in that car? He was told he could have a gun in the car, and so why didn't he have the gun in the car? So I'm going to go into more detail on that. Last but not least, I'll leave you with this. Look it up for those of you who don't know. People spreading these bullshit-ass rumors that, oh, Nevada's open carry. You don't need a permit to carry in Nevada. Let me tell you something. You do need a permit to conceal carry. You don't need a permit for open carry. Of course not. State law in Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada, no permit for open carry. You can freely open carry a firearm. However, if you want to conceal carry, you must have a valid conceal carry permit. It's the fucking law in that state. So, if you don't believe me, go to the state website. Go to their state website and look up their gun laws. It's been like that for decades. It's been like that since way before 1996. You do have to have a legal permit to conceal carry in Vegas. Not to mention, I don't know about this part of it. I do know that you do have to have a concealed carry permit to carry in Vegas legally, which so they spin that shit and say, well, why'd they tell them they couldn't have guns? You don't need a permit to carry. You don't need a permit to open carry, but you do need one to conceal carry. And nobody wants to open carry when you're security. That lets everybody know which one the security guard is, and if I'm going to shoot or what I'm going to do, I know I'm going to take out the dude with the gun first. So you don't want to open carry. You want to conceal that shit so nobody knows who's got a gun on them, so they don't know who to fucking shoot first. So anyways, last but not least, the last thing I'm going to say, next video, I promise I'm going to go into a lot more detail on this subject because there's a lot more information. But besides needing the permit to conceal carry, I don't know if they would have, even if they were allowed to have their gun on them, if it would have made a difference, because in most states you can't have a firearm even if you're security, unless you're a police officer, which Frank Alexander wasn't. Unless you're a police officer in most states in this country, you can't take a firearm into any establishment that sells alcohol or has a certain percentage of sales are alcohol, which Club 662 sells alcohol. The casinos in Vegas sell alcohol. So I really don't know what him telling them they had to leave the gun in the car really would have changed, except for if they're walking down the fucking street. Okay, which that's not what killed Tupac anyways. So I don't think it would have made such much of a difference. Not to mention, even if he had his gun, Orlando got those 14 to 16 shots off probably in a matter of 5 or 6 seconds max. You can pop off shots really quick. So by the time he got his gun out, got his arm out of the car, shot back, most of the damage would have been done anyways, and they would have been taken off. But anyways, click subscribe, click like below, click the bell if you want notifications. I'm going to be uploading many more videos, try to do some interviews here soon, but just keep checking back. I'm going to touch on, like I said, a little bit more on the having protection in Vegas issue on the next video, plus a few other things. I guess basically what I'm trying to do is what do you want to call it? We call this page Makaveli Mecca, and we are going to debunk conspiracy theorists one video at a time.